And if you're thinking about taking that step, it's because you obviously don't feel valued by that person. And here, we need to ask ourselves a series of questions. Did you make it easy for them? And I'm not referring to intimacy, I mean easy in general. That is, you met this person and without them having to do anything, you were charmed. And from that moment on, what happened was in some way, you were the one who pursued more, who was putting in more effort. Or at a certain point, you were getting to know each other. And maybe you were more hesitant, but once they convinced you, you made a radical change. And from then on, everything changed. You went from being more reserved to ending up pursuing the person. Because these are two very common scenarios. From the very first moment, I give you everything on a silver platter, and I am the one pursuing, making everything easy for you. And the other one, the one where things are more or less stable, or I might even be more hesitant, but I'm the kind of person who, the moment I go from being unconvinced to convinced, makes a 180-degree turn, truly believing that this won't cause a change in the other person, when in reality, any change in me will always be reflected in the other. These are the two most common scenarios in which a person will stop valuing us. And not only that, the longer. We remain in that situation, either by making it easy, by chasing after them, settling for less, and less from their side, because that's what it implies. The more I give, the less you give. And if I stay, I'm accepting less and giving more each time, in other words. Any of those cases lead, the longer I stay, to them valuing you less and underestimating you. So, of course, when a person underestimates me, their view of me is no longer objective. The same thing happens as when we idealize. You meet someone, you really like that person might be emotionally unavailable, you become obsessed with them, you idealize them, and suddenly, wow, they are the most incredible person to have ever walked the earth. No, they are not. It's just that you have idealized them. Well, with this person, let's say, when they don't value you, the opposite of idealization happens. All those fantastic qualities you have, the potential as a partner you possess, everything you have to offer, being a funny, nice, good person, your attractiveness, your intelligence, your ability to support, everything you have, that person, instead of seeing it as it is, sees it as less. Just as the idealized person sees it as more, the one who underestimates sees it as less, and that's why they don't value it. So indeed, if you're considering saying, I think staying here won't solve it, you're correct. And it's normal that since today this person is not valuing you, you think this person won't care. The moment I leave their life, well, that's it. If I am almost a nobody to that person, they won't even notice. But that's not the case. Why? Because the moment you distance yourself, that effect of underestimation, that effect of, here I have it, it changes. And today I'm going to talk to you about 3 things that this person will experience, that this person will feel the moment you take that necessary step. The first one I have actually hinted at in the prologue, but here I will develop it better. And it is that indeed we are finally going to break that underestimation that arises from that unconditionality, from that trust. It's just that maybe you don't see it that way. I know that when one is in the situation and is experiencing it from the inside, they truly believe that somehow the other person is valuing your ability to give and sacrifice. And also somehow we sometimes feel that you are also keeping track of the time. It's like saying if we have something, even if it's something informal, obviously with a person with whom I have something informal for a long time, well, a connection develops, there's affection, there's another level of involvement, we have another significance in their life. But unfortunately, for the one who is underestimating, this is not the case. Or at least it isn't until they lose us, right? While they have us. Having us in that unconditionality and without any effort on their part. I'm not saying that maybe over time they might develop some affection for you, but it's not the kind of affection you need for the person to invest emotionally. It's a more fraternal affection, more like what we might feel for a friend, rather than the kind of affection you want it to be, which is for this person to understand that the time spent is because there is compatibility between you, there is chemistry, there is a capacity to be a good couple. This person is not seeing it that way. When we are with someone who is not valuing us, Unfortunately, time does not play in that way. Time only can work in our favor, the time invested. I mean, if we have that act of bravery to understand up to this point, because to top it off, if we don't have it and the person ends up kicking us out of their life, I'm not going to lie to you, it's already very complicated for even that invested time to turn around. It can happen, you know? It can happen. If once they kick us out, we start doing things very well. I've seen cases, but it's already more complicated. That time you've been there working hard, it influences more. If at some point you say it's over, why? Because by being capable, by having that willpower to finally let it go, you surprise the other a lot, because the other doesn't see you as capable. The other person trusts that you will be there forever. And whether they like it or not, their self-esteem partly relies on that idea. The vision they have of themselves is somewhat supported by the idea that you are there. Sometimes we don't realize the value in our lives of someone who gives us that security in knowing that this person does care about us, that this person does find us attractive, wonderful, and so on. Even if we are not a person who goes out into the world and garners admiration wherever we go, still, when that admiration comes, even from someone we should be happy to receive it from, if it comes too easily, we don't value it. Humans are like that. What falls from the sky, that's it. Rain falls from the sky until the day it's missing. When it's missing, that's when we start to dance. Well, it's a bit like that with the person who is undervaluing you, even if you give them the best. Even if you are a person who, I hear it, Amanda, but what's going on? It's not that I don't flirt. If I believe that I am a person who is even physically attractive, why doesn't this person see it? Because it has rained down from the sky for them, because it has come too easily, because it hasn't cost them any effort. So they don't see it. They don't see it until the day they stop receiving it. And indeed, the day they stop receiving it, the day they truly realize that you are not there, that's when the surprises come. Why? Because you didn't feel capable. And suddenly, when I stop receiving something, I start to consider what it was that I was receiving. As long as it didn't cost me any effort, right? But when I don't have it anymore, that's when I start to think, whew, wow, I'm surprised that I missed this. I actually like that thing. Why this person? Why have they had the willpower to suddenly stop seeking me out? Could it be that I underestimated them? Indeed, that's when suddenly their perception of you changes, right? And it's not because they idealize you from a distance, it's simply because they stop underestimating you and see who you really are. The next thing that will happen, because, well, the fact that they stop underestimating you, the fact that they realize they were doing it, and the fact that they see you were capable of distancing yourself, of betting on your self-love and dignity, makes this person regain a certain respect for you. And this again increases the attraction they might have had. But more time passes and what happens? Something very curious happens. And that is, although it may seem hard to believe, this person will start to feel that you are rejecting them. And it will hurt them in the same way that, in many cases, is what keeps you so attached to the person. Because sometimes we believe it's about how much I love them, how much they matter to me, how much this or that. And in many cases, it's more ego than anything else. It's that inability to accept, not being able to understand why, despite having done everything in your power, you haven't managed to be with the person. Every time this person has ultimately disappointed you, declined something, or things haven't turned out as you expected, your ego has been hurt and has screamed at you to fix it, do something. I don't want to feel this way. Rejection is a very uncomfortable feeling, so uncomfortable that it often leads us to act not out of love, but out of a desire to stop experiencing it. This unpleasant feeling, right? And this leads us to act, doesn't it? Well, this happens to this person who, interestingly, after some time, the fact that they were receiving so much attention, so much admiration from you, and suddenly no longer, makes them start to feel rejected, and it hurts their ego. It truly bothers them. And here are two things you can do, and I tell you that in practice, they help to accentuate this much more. The first, and this is obviously essential, is not to play it halfway. I understand that when some time passes and you start to miss the person, and maybe this person has stopped belittling you and then starts to look for you a bit begins to appear on your social media, starts giving you likes, maybe comments on a photo, or sends you a feeler. There's a part of you that believes the best thing to do to not discourage them and to keep them looking for you is to give a little, right? Or you start to believe that you will handle it better. And then you say, well, let's play a little with ambiguity. Maybe I'll show them that I'm no longer that person who was chasing after them. I'm going to act a bit indifferent. Well, obviously, not acting like before and playing indifferent is better, but do you know what's even better? Showing them that it's okay, showing them that they've lost you. That will truly make them feel rejected and share that emotion you have experienced so many times, which is what inclines you to give more. So when you bet, instead of playing halfway, going all in, you're making it more effective. And the second recommendation I give you is that truly, in that distance, you should, by taking away your energy, by taking away your attention truly, not just in front of that person. The more you can obsess over yourself, and that's the word, truly try to obsess over yourself with everything in your life, with your work, with your friendships, with improving your physique, with prospering in whatever way you can, with taking care of yourself. Taking care of yourself as a mission to fulfill. The more you can keep your mind focused on yourself, on how important you are, on taking advantage of this time to move forward. This feeling of rejection in the other person, believe me, it will be stronger, truly. It never fails. Try as much. Because yes, this person, besides a physical distance and a distance in actions, also starts to experience your energetic distance and begins to feel that the energy you used to give them, you are now keeping for yourself. You also have it. This is much more effective. And here I warn you to also prepare yourself to receive negative reactions. Why? As I was saying, rejection is unpleasant to experience. And when something hurts our ego, it affects us. But before we digest and interpret it emotionally, it can also come out. As I say, it's normal that at the beginning this person approaches in a positive way. Why? Because they want to understand, because they want to fix this, because they want you to chase after them again. But if you resist, if you don't offer ambiguity, if they see they can't, if they are not willing to give more, sometimes what arises is that internal anger of saying, well, I don't want to feel this way. I'm going to do something to not feel this way. So sometimes it's also when people have reactions that aim to provoke us so that we react or to hurt us. That is to say the same. Suddenly this person makes posts about how well they are doing or implies that there is someone else. Or even sends you a somewhat unpleasant message. I mean, we have to prepare ourselves. They do this for the same reason, because they are indeed confirming to you that this is working, that it is bothering them. That is to say, before, when you didn't belittle yourself, you didn't even waste time thinking about what you did or didn't do, and it didn't matter to them. But now if you notice, they are wasting time trying to annoy you. In the end, it doesn't matter. They are dedicating mental space to you. And that's what we want. Because in the end, when we start thinking about a person, even if at first it provokes emotions we don't understand, or we might even have negative emotions, and here, obviously, the more childish or prouder the person is, the more it can come out like this. In other instances, no. In other instances, you might notice there was an approach and then you don't hear anything. Why? Because initially, as I say, they wanted to find out, they wanted to see. Now they see that they don't achieve anything with their minimal investment. So they get upset and withdraw. But this is usually a temporary withdrawal. But still, you might suddenly say, okay, well, I'm not going to hear more. No, it's just that they are upset. That person is probably angry with you, but understand that if they are an emotionally mature person, they have no right to complain to you or try to hurt you. But that doesn't mean that even if they realize they are wrong, it won't bother them. So as I say, that rejection will sometimes also provoke reactions that might shock us, and I don't want you to misinterpret them. And finally comes the regret. And you might think, Amanda, not always. Yes, always. What happens is that obviously there are degrees, and here we have to be honest. But the regret comes. It comes. I mean, anyone who has enjoyed such dedication, such affection from someone, and loses it, I tell you, they regret it. What happens is that within our regret, I mean, let's say once that disdain and pastime is broken, there it will really show what there is. And obviously the personal circumstances of this person also influence, if there are other people and such. But I say, even the person who barely valued you, even the person who has someone new in their life, when you have had the courage to leave and time has passed, they stop underestimating you. And that person enjoyed receiving your affection. When they remember you, there is a part of him or her that thinks, phew, I could have done better. I shouldn't have been so arrogant. I could have given a little more. They remember you in a very different way than you think. You often think that this person really remembers the worst, the moments when you were more behind, or you think, phew, good thing they're not around anymore, or that I don't care much, or something like that. Very distant. It has nothing to do with reality. Even in the most intimate case, let's say the worst case scenario, that person remembers you with much more affection than you think, and with that touch of saying, I should have done things better, and this person would still be there. Because they gain nothing by losing you. No one gains by losing someone who is contributing to them. That's just not how it is. Now then, from there, obviously we move upwards. That is to say, there's the person who truly begins to torment themselves, the person who starts to not understand how they couldn't realize what they were receiving, the person who even in the processes that progress further. And here we usually notice that messages arrive trying to start a conversation and we keep ignoring them. It can shift from underestimation to idealization. Why? This is not arbitrary. This is not magic. This is completely plausible. Because as I always tell you, the change is within you. If you are giving everything without receiving anything in return, suddenly not giving anything, or allowing access is the opposite. It's the reverse. And for that very reason, a person can go from underestimating you to feeling that they no longer have access to something they once had, becoming obsessed with it, trying to get it back. But obviously that happens when this person, as I say, is somehow fighting to re-enter your life. They might even ask you for a chance. Especially in these cases, where you truly say enough is enough, they might ask you for a chance, and meanwhile, you are already getting to know someone else and you no longer want to. In these cases, I have seen people. They are suffering much later because they have idealized someone whom they were underestimating when they had the chance. What I would like you to understand above all, more important than understanding exactly what this person is going to experience, is that it will be worth it for you. Because believe me, it is never worth it for someone to be underestimating us. And staying there is not going to make them see our value. They are not going to value you for staying. They are not going to value you for receiving more. So this will be worth it for you, no matter what. Whether you manage to have this person come after you in the end, even idealize you, or merely, even if they don't communicate it to you, when they think of you, they miss you above all. And the important thing is that you start paying attention to yourself again, as you need. In this process, you just have to focus on not letting your mind give you the wrong narrative, on not falling into strange nostalgias, on not believing at any given moment that you have to go looking. What you have to do now is focus on yourself, on taking back control of your life and understanding that one always deserves the same as they are willing to give, and not less. And this is non-negotiable. And it's non-negotiable to accept that someone keeps you in their life as a second option. Okay? Prioritize yourself. Because believe me, how you treat yourself is the filter through which others will treat you. So the better you start treating yourself, the more importance you give yourself, the more you value your time, your health, your energies, the more you will be valued. Not just that person, but people in general as well. Well, I hope this video is helpful to you and that you liked it. If so, and you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, of course, I invite you to do so, to hit the bell, because I would love for us to see each other again very soon. And until then, I send you a big kiss.